And we are 2 days away from game day for the Nittany Lions. This is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are coming to you live from Quaker Steak and Lube because it beats the alternative. And we are looking forward to the noon Eastern time kickoff between those Nittany Lions and them their Badgers of Wisconsin. May get into some other things today, but obviously that is going to be the focus of today's program. And a couple things. As we keep talking about, but even during this game week, the news continues to be almost all good or just non-existent out of the Penn State camp, which is, again, I think from a fan base perspective, overall very good news, right? That's because you don't want to be hearing a lot of
no news is good news.
Yes, and again, what we are hearing about some of the younger players that James Franklin is high on is good. The leadership of the team seems to be good. At least the coaching staff feels good about it going into the season. There's just not and again, this can all change like that. And I understand that because I suspect we were probably talking much the same thing going into last season that, despite COVID and everything, had a good feeling about Sean Clifford being back and the way the season on paper should start, get off to a quick start. Who knows what could happen? And, of course, worst start in Penn State history. And then the pretty nice recovery, though, at the end of the season, which does lead, I think, in part to the optimism surrounding this season. I do think there's a few things that I'm going to be looking for in this Wisconsin game in particular. One is, how Penn State's defensive line is able to get pressure, if it is able to get pressure with any kind of consistency against that Wisconsin offensive line. Again, there are a few things that are givens in college football, but Wisconsin having a good offensive line is one of those that you just you pretty much check mark every year that they're at least going to be a good, solid unit. And that is the case again this year. It is certainly the rightful expectation on that Wisconsin team is that O-line will be, once again, a strength. And I think the D-line for Penn State is more of a question mark than we're used to it being anyway in these parts. I think there's certainly some talent there, but I think it's, largely unproven talent. And there's Penn State likes to, under James Franklin, has liked to get that rotation going, right? And even prior to James Franklin. I mean, they like circling those guys in and out of the lineup and the defensive line to, again, try to keep that pressure, keep those guys fresh, keep the legs hopping. And I think that's where the question really is okay, if you get 2-3 deep, you get an injury here or there, I think you feel pretty solid with that starting group, but I think there are some question marks about how well the second group, which is going to play about the same as the first group, if history is any indication. And again, if you get any injuries, is there a drop-off of note within the defensive line play? And if there is, that becomes a more serious concern here as you head into the season, because that's a mainstay of what you need to be successful in college football.
A couple things about us as looking at last week's games and then going into this week's games is our O&D line have not gone 100% full. Our quarterbacks have not gone 100% full. Neither team has.
Right.
So their D-line will be a distinct advantage over the offensive line, in my opinion. And looking at that Nebraska-Illinois game last week, the name of that game was getting pressure on either one of those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And that would really change the kid from Illinois getting his shoulder busted up, bring his backup in, but that kid played very, very well. And Martinez from Nebraska was under pressure the whole game. So let's just look at that. I mean, the up front battles of we talk about, preseason camp. There's stuff you cannot do live. The biggest thing on opening weekend, special teams.
No question.
Nobody has covered a punt live. Nobody has covered a punt or a kick live, a punt return, a kick return, nothing. No one, you can't do them live. Saturday morning at noon or afternoon at noon will be the first time a special teams were actually full bore, go ahead, full go, take somebody to the ground. Quarterback's the same way, hasn't been hit in a year or so.
Yep.
So we'll get into our predictions later in the game, but you got to see up front, who is getting pressure on the quarterback, which team, and secondly is that it will be a turnover that usually decides a big game like this, especially this early in the season being the first game. You got to keep the turnovers low because, again, nobody's gone live. We haven't gone live. The running backs have not been tackled to the ground 100%. The quarterbacks have not been hit at all. So, the problem I have always had with Sean, and then we have talked about it for 2 years now, is that, bro, just do your job. You don't need to go and do, everybody else's job. Don't try and be the superhero, this and that. And I think that, like I said on Tuesday, I personally believe that it's going to be such a different year for him because he's been there, done that 3 years now. And I think that he's going to be relaxed back there. He's not going to be, trying to win the game on the one play of the game. So I think that will help him. But interesting to see how this game kicks off on Saturday that way. Pressure up front, which team can put it on and which team can get that first turnover.
Yeah, and I think, the other, along with that, and this is kind of how the game has evolved, or I don't even know if evolved, but changed over the years, is, and we've talked about this, James Franklin has talked about this, it used to be that and especially around here, but I think in college football in general, you were looking to see, like time of possession was a really big thing. Putting together some sustained drives, even without points, all of that stuff. And listen, every game is a season unto itself, and I'm not saying all that stuff can't be more important in a particular game. But generally speaking, Goon, what it really has come down to now is the explosive plays on both sides of the ball. It is, can you get a couple of game-changing plays on offense or with special teams, turnovers, and defensively getting the turnovers. Again, I think it is almost presumed that you are going to give up, with the rules and the offensive schemes the way they are, you are going to give up a fair amount of yardage and a fair amount of points over the course of a game. Very rarely are you seeing good football teams held under 21 points. I mean, it happens, but it's the exception much more than the rule. And there are good teams. I mean, there used to be championship teams weren't giving up 3 touchdowns a game, or on any kind of a regular basis. That happens, frequently now. That is not the gauge. It is, again, can you get a couple of stops defensively, or more importantly, can you get a turnover or two advantage over your opponent? And then again, offensively, if you can get a couple of long sustained drives, fantastic. But man, if you can pop a couple of big plays, right, get the momentum going your way, that's the name of the game these days. It's finding those explosive players on offense and those explosive plays on defense to change a game around.
Yeah, you got me all wound up the other day talking about knowing what the weather is going to be out there. We're going to be in the 90s. It's going to be humid as hell always out there.
Yep.
So you had me thinking, I was like, you know what? Wisconsin has not played at home in front of their fans in 651 days, just the same as us, 644 days or whatever since they had played at a home game with fans in the stadium. So the last time Penn State had a fan in a game was the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
That seems like a decade ago, but it was just a year ago. But that is, and what you said Tuesday has been ringing in my head. And I just go back to the 2012 Ohio game when our guys came off the bus after that whole off season and Joe dying and the sanctions and this and that. And they got off the bus and they were as high could be at 10 o'clock in the morning. And you still got to be playing football until 3:30 in the afternoon that day. So you better not be exerting too much energy and getting too hyped up too fast, which I think it might happen to Wisconsin out there. You know, that's a crazy place to play. Those guys might get all wound up. So you're talking, the first thing you said is you got to have a lot of guys coming in and out, and especially this first couple of weeks because of the heat and the temperatures, you're going to want guys out there. And then James wants his freshmen and sophomores on that field. I want to see him out there in the first, second quarter. That means that they can play, and they're a hell of a player. And let's get them out there, put their feet to the fire and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I do think
I'm not too jacked up, though. I
completely understand that. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball for a minute and just kind of break down what we're expecting there. Listen, Wisconsin's defense, we're talking about their offensive line always being solid. Their defense is always solid too. And they do have some great players on that defensive side of the ball. And they have a scheme that works and it is consistent. And again, what it's going to come down, to me, the two things that are going to be most important offensively is Sean Clifford taking care of the ball and not getting too carried away in trying to create plays. To your point, it's take what the defense is giving you. Jahan Dotson is by all accounts ready for. I mean, he had a breakout year, but I mean, if you listen to anybody around this program, they are expecting him to be just a phenom this season. That being said, the probably Wisconsin's Wisconsin's best defender is Faion Hicks, and Hicks has said, "I'm going to be on Dotson. That's my man," and he's ready for it, and he's excited about it. And here's the thing: if you're Clifford, I don't think you need to be afraid of throwing to Dotson, obviously, but I also don't think you need to get caught up in this, hey, we're going to show you that we're going to win this matchup, right? If Hicks is doing a phenomenal job, fine, check down, and not every play is going to Dotson anyway. I understand that. What I think could be what I think will be a key component here is Penn State's tight end play. I think Wisconsin is so jacked up and focused on stopping the Dotson in particular and the receivers in general. And with Freiermuth gone, I think there is going to be the perception at Wisconsin that, hey, okay, that's an area. I'm not saying they're going to disregard the tight ends, but again, if you're scheming right now, understandably, right, if you're Wisconsin, you're saying, listen, they lost their top tight end. They might have some good kids, but these are young guys that haven't proven yet. We know Dotson's a big deal. Let's get some pressure on Clifford, and let's take care of the receivers. If they're going to beat us, let's see them do it with the tight ends and the running backs. And if I'm Penn State, I'm saying thank you. We will do that because I think that they are 3 deep and strong at tight end. And I think the running backs out of the backfield is another real threat here for Penn State in this game. It's not just run or pass for Penn State to me in terms of, hey, it's either the running back gets the ball, running the ball, or we go to the receivers, right? I think the tight ends and the running backs are going to play a huge role in the pass game, and the tight ends in particular. And I think if you can get that established early, I would love to see just kind of spending some time setting up that Wisconsin defense and, feigning a couple of throws to Dotson, going to the tight end or the backs out of the backfield, and then, work on it, get Hicks starting to feel, hey, I got him. They're not even throwing at him. And then start to take advantage of the opportunities that I do think will be there throughout the afternoon. I don't care how good your cornerback is, and Hicks is a terrific cornerback. I mean, I am not in any way telling you that he's not. But, again, going back to the rules of the game and the way the game is adjusted, a good quarterback and receiver, I don't care how good the cornerback is. Cornerback may make some plays, but a good receiver and quarterback are going to make plays against the best cornerbacks over the course of 4 quarters, because those opportunities are going to be there at some point. Now, it's recognizing when those opportunities are there and cashing in on those chances when they're made available.
I have one question about Dotson, and we'll have Chris on in the second half of the show, and I'll ask him the same question. What alarmed you this week that he wasn't named one of the 6 captains on this team?
Yeah. Yes, mildly so.
It was surprising. It was, to me, it was
surprising, yes.
Yeah, well, you have 75 captains. He's not one of them. It's a little, something's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I always just look at that and I'm like, well, what's going on there? Why? And then, with that being said, Clifford is the first ever 3-time captain in Penn State history.
Yeah.
Jesus. And he's still got 2 more years. Right? Does he not have another year?
With the way the NCAA is going, who knows before it's all said and done.
4-time captain in the history of college football. He came in. Oh my goodness! It's like,
well,
wow.
Listen, I do think
senior year prom, he got picked to be the captain of the Penn State team. No, but yes, it is. The quarterback receiver, that your best guy is going to be your guy. When you got to have that, you got to have that go-to guy, and Dotson's going to be that guy this year. But if they're going to take him away, then we got to exploit them other ways.
Yeah.
And then they're going to put their best guy on him. Okay, if that's the case, you want to waste your best guy on one of our guys. Someone else has got to step up. But Dotson's still going to make it. He will make his plays, and they're going to look for him to make plays. A little catch here and there softens the defense up a little bit, and go right back to it. The tight end and the running back game. If they're going to try, you can't cover everybody.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I'm liking this team. I really, really like this team. I think that we're well-rounded everywhere. We don't have superstars, which is a good thing. I think we play our best when we're not superstars historically.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's saying, well, this year is really set up towards next year, but we have shown over our history as Penn Staters, you talk about the 85 team being that team that was ready to go. And, even when I was playing the 93 team, we lost 2 close games to Michigan and Ohio State. And then we just went roll. We just went, like a 19-game winning streak. It's just, building momentum. But I think this team could do that this year.
Yeah, I do like the all of the talk of the run-pass option offense, and I do like the pressure that can put on a defense. And I just like the idea of getting your quarterback rolling anyway. I think it does, and especially with a veteran quarterback, I think it does many things for you. Again, it keeps the defense on its toes, and they're having to make adjustments depending on which way you're rolling and all of that. But I also think with a veteran quarterback in particular, it really does open some things up. With a veteran quarterback, you're okay throwing back against the grain, right? I mean, if there's an opportunity there. And again, I go back to, I really think every game, I guess, to a large degree is a chess match. I really think this first quarter, even more so than your normal college football game, big-time college football game, I think this first quarter is going to be the ultimate chess match between these 2 coaching staffs and teams in terms of kind of feeling out, okay, what's actually here? How do we match up? Where can we win along the line of scrimmage? But also, what can we set up for later in the game when we think the game may be on the line? What are some things we can come back to that we're seeing early on that maybe you're not showing your hand necessarily out of the gate? Yeah. And I just think it's going to be, I think if you're a college football fan, this is just going to be a really fun watch, even if you're not a Penn State or Wisconsin fan, because I think there are so many little games within the game in this one to watch and to try to figure out and see. Again, best laid plans go awry when the execution isn't there. And as always, it's going to come down to which team can go out and execute its game plan and impose its will on the other.
The last thing I want to hear is the James Franklin give the Scott Frost answer. Well, they came out in one of these defenses and we lost half our offense.
Yeah,
Scott, it's called making adjustments.
Yeah,
why would you say something like that?
Yeah.
Also, it's Illinois.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's Illinois, so what did you expect? I mean, Villanova, everything was on the table there. It was just,
Yeah.
they got to go out there, and they got to be ready for everything. And then, like I said, we'll have Chris on here, but I'll ask you right now, Ironhead. Has there been a more important opening game? When was the last opening game that was this important? And I know that those ramifications really don't matter because it doesn't matter because we're still, if we lose, you're 0-1 in the Big Ten in the East, but you could still win. You know what I mean? But this is on a national level, in my opinion, that we need to come out of the gates, I think. And I'm going to say Arizona, 98.
Here's where I'm at in terms of the importance of it is yes, in terms of the season, it really is almost irrelevant.
It is.
But
yeah.
In terms of momentum, and this is the thing, right now, this fan base, I'm talking about Penn State's fan base, is jacked, right? After the 0-5 start last year, the way that team finished, this whole offseason has been nothing but a feeling that momentum is building. That the talk has been right, the no significant news, very little negative news. I mean, the recruiting news has been phenomenal. What a loss here does is just put the brakes on all of that momentum. Now, can you get it right back over the course of the next, month or two? Absolutely. I mean, obviously, if you lose this game and you go on and you beat Ohio State and you run the table, I mean, nobody's saying, oh yeah, the momentum was lost. But in the moment, right, it changes all of that feeling right now that everybody has. And again, I don't think Penn State fans are that this is winner bust or that there's any kind of pressure on James Franklin. His job's on the line if they lose this. None of that. But I think, I think the feeling of that momentum, again, you win this, and I just think everybody's chest in Happy Valley is stuck out, and you rightfully are looking at this program as, wait a second, man. Like, look at what we have done after that 0-5 start. Worst start in program history. Since then, nothing but wins. Now a huge win over a higher-ranked team on the road to start this season, coming off of what is arguably building to be the best recruiting class that James Franklin has had, which is saying something. I mean, he's had some really good classes here, but this class is certainly on its way to being the best that James Franklin has brought in here at Penn State. And I guess it just, again, for me, then it just pushes everything forward. And yeah, from the national perspective, it immediately launches Penn State into a fairly familiar position for the school under James Franklin, but as being the premier challenger to Ohio State in the Big Ten.
And you mentioned the R word to begin with, and I've been saying it for 2 months now. This is the most important game in James Franklin's career because he needs to smack Wisconsin in the face for coming in here and taking the recruits out they have. And they have to put an end to that.
Yeah, I do think that's big.
The only way you do it is go out there and smack them around. That's a lot easier said than done. Trust me, you're not going to go to Wisconsin and slap anybody around. I mean, they're always a tough team, always a really good, hard-nosed team to play against. Clean, hard-nosed, love them, like playing them. It's always aggressive games. I'm still amazed that we have beat them 4 in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
I mean, it goes back to the fighter's speech, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Right? It's unbelievable.
No, it is.
That was 2012. It was 9 freaking seasons ago, man. 10 seasons ago.
Well, and to that end, when you're trying to break down these games, you start probably getting carried away at looking at everything. But that can be looked at as again, 2 ways, depending on how you want to view it. If you're Wisconsin, right, it's, all kinds of reasons. We owe these guys. We got to start this thing fast and all that. We're at home, revenge, all of the intangibles. If you're Wisconsin, you're saying are in our favor. If you're Penn State, right, you're saying we have these guys' number. We know they might think they can beat us. We know we can beat them. We've done it. The quarterback play with Mertz and Clifford is again going to be huge in this game. But I don't think it's necessarily about the quarterback that ends up with the better numbers. I think it's about the turnovers and the quarterback that consistently makes the better decisions under pressure.
That is the epitome of a Wisconsin quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm guessing both these teams are going to get some pressure. Now, that I think if you're Wisconsin, you're a little more sure that over the course of 4 quarters, you're going to get pressure on Clifford than Penn State is sure that it's going to get pressure on Mertz. But you figure there are going to be some plays there on both sides of the ball. And again, it's going to be how do those quarterbacks handle that. And that is the one area, to me, I think if you're looking at it going in, that Mertz has the advantage. He has been more consistently able to do that, make the right decisions in his career than Clifford. And again, there may be all kinds of contributing reasons, but ultimately, this is a kind of show me game for Sean Clifford, I think, in terms of showing that he has elevated that his game to that upper stratosphere.
Let's not hope he's still trying to do too much. That's what.
No, and again, that's what and that's what I mean. At the end of the day, the numbers. I don't think you have to win the numbers game here in terms of yardage or even touchdowns or anything like that. But it is, again, handling that pressure by either throwing the ball away or even taking a sack or two here or there, if that's the better option than, again, throwing the interception or fumbling the ball away or what have you. Absolutely. The special teams is going to be interesting because it is a point of focus for sure for Penn State. But it has been a consistent strength over the years for Wisconsin, right? Like they are usually a very fundamentally sound team when it comes to special teams. This does feel to me like a season in which Penn State can and should pretty consistently win the special teams battle. This is when you talk about place kicker, punter, return game, the whole bit. It should be an area of strength for Penn State. And in some ways, I'm not sure I don't feel more comfortable and confident with the special teams than I do either the offense or the defense going into the season. Now, that being said, I've had that feeling before, and it has not worked out that way. And in fairness, I've had some seasons where I'm like, oh, I don't know about special teams, and it's ended up being terrific for Penn State. So, nothing is a true known or given going into any football season, which is what makes it fun. No, but I think, listen, I do think that the field position battle's big, and I do think there's reason to believe, if you're a Penn State fan going into this game, that part can set up very nicely for your side.
You got any buddies going out?
What's that?
You got anybody going out there?
I'm sure I do. I don't know of anybody, any of the, my close friends. I do know, I know a couple people that are going out, but I don't know, of my buddies, I don't know of anybody going out.
Let's just say Pennsylvania's missing, a couple towns in Pennsylvania are missing their idiots because they're in Chicago / Wisconsin this weekend. I got 4 or 5 buddies from my college era. Just friends. They weren't athletes. They weren't football players, but they were very good friends of ours. And I'm very jealous because this is like one of those games. I'm just like, holy crap! Is this an unbelievable? It's just everything about it is going to be special. It is. It's when I say a national TV game, it is this is the game that people are looking at that day. I mean, there's some great afternoon and night games, but at noon, it's the only show in town. Every eyeball in this country who likes watching college football is going to be watching that game, and I can't freaking wait. But every aspect of this game is just amazing to me.
No,
I mean, the fans being back, the national ramifications, because again, I go back to it doesn't matter if you win, lose, or draw when it comes to the Big Ten, because we're in different conferences, different sides of it, but there is a national exposure going to be happening.
Yeah.
And what better way to kick off the season? And people say on Monday morning, "Oh crap, Penn State's ranked 12 right now. They jumped 7 spots." Yeah, they should. And I think that's the game that's going to catapult them into the next stratosphere.
What is your expectation for what you think Penn State's going to try to accomplish out of the gate offensively. Because I know what I'm expecting, and again, jot it down in your predictions. Sure to go wrong, but
what do I want to happen? What I think's going to happen?
Either one.
I would love to go out there, establish the run, because the easiest way to open up your passing game is to establish a run. You can't stop the run and the pass. Now, if we go out there and try and throw the ball around like we're the Air Don Coryell from back in the day, I mean, I think we might have an issue if we're going to be one-trick pony that way. I think we need to go out and establish a run against a team that knows how to defend the run. I mean, this is one of those games that's just like it's just a perfect matchup for both squads.
Yeah, and that is what I am expecting. I think James Franklin and the staff and this team wants to go out and prove and show. And listen, I don't think they're going to be hard-headed about it. That if Wisconsin, if they run the ball 10 times in that first quarter for 9 yards, I don't think you're going to see Penn State. I don't think they're going to abandon it, but I mean, you're not going to keep trying to run into the brick wall. But I really have a feeling that with the stable of running backs they have and with the offensive line that they have returning, I think they believe, and I think they're right. We're going to find out. But I think they are going to try to establish out of the gate the run. And I'm guessing that they'll be successful. I mean, success is going to be relative here, but pounding out a few first downs largely on the ground would be big out of the gate for this team in terms of confidence and in terms of laying the groundwork for what I think they want to do down the stretch. I also do think you're going to see a lot of Clifford rolling out with the run pass option out of the gate and just, again, playing that chess game, getting a read on, okay, this is how Wisconsin's handling this. This is what they're going to try to do here. Let's see what we can adjust and exploit. Because, again, I think Penn State feels pretty confident and comfortable across the board. If Wisconsin is taking away the wide receivers, I think Penn State's going to be fine with that and say, all right, let's dump it off here to the tight end. Let's take advantage of the opportunities.
I want to see a running back take a handoff and not have to make a move before he even touches the line.
Yeah, right out of the gate. Yeah.
I want to see a quarterback who get to his fifth step without having to start ducking and jumping into the pocket. And I want to see if we are going to have a running game, not just quarterback draw into the end of the line of scrimmage like last year. I'm very interested to see this new offense, and I'm sure he wants to prove himself. And I mean, that's not good. He's had some pretty good years at Ohio State, Oklahoma State type of things, right? I mean, the guy's he knows what he's doing, so I'm really, really jacked up to see it.
Yeah.
And I think we're flying right below the radar nationally. I really, really do. And then we'll talk about it after the break, but we're coming to our season breakdown. But I mean, I have higher expectations for this team than I had for any of James's teams. And that's not a lie. It's not me trying to bullshit you and, oh, well, it's going to be a great season. I really have that feeling about this team.
Yeah, I don't think I'm far behind you on that because I think there are some things that are actually set up nicely for this team to have that kind of a run. And we'll kick that around and more as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube in State College right after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,
tell him Johnny sent you.
And we welcome you back in to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on this Thursday afternoon.
I got to professionally turn my mic up and fix the camera live on
very well
TV.
done.
Hi, everybody.
Beautiful day, by the way, in Happy Valley after a
We're
horrendous.
going to have to double up on that just for men. By the way.
Hey, Spec, your beating's coming. We're just going to tell you that much right now.
Horrendous day yesterday here in Happy Valley, like it was for much of the Northeast. But boy,
Crazy.
Today is
crazy.
That was the other thing, Goon. I meant to lead off the show with this, but I walked out the door this morning with our beloved canine Kenai, and this is at about 5:45. And I mean, I opened the door, and like that, it hit me in the face. Football season. I mean, you walked out, and it was football season,
oh,
baby.
Man, was it ever?
The weather is just, I mean, it is that perfect, crisp fall afternoon right now in Happy Valley, and it is just helping to further fuel the excitement for Saturday's game, and for that matter, for
like crushing a Miller Lite, Bud Light at like 6 a.m. Did you? You just had that feeling.
Yeah,
like,
I'm telling you, I am looking forward to college football tonight as well, and as you said, just some great matchups on Saturday. By the way,
Temple got bumped.
Temple got bumped. Oh,
because
because yeah.
So they're gonna play Rutgers Saturday. So I know. I told my wife, hey, the weekend starts Wednesday or Thursday night at 6 p.m. Temple Rutgers, but. I got to back it up to 7.
Well, and now the problem is a lot of people who are going to be amped up for that game probably not even going to – they're going to be, hey, we got to dial in our energy on this one, not even going to watch the Penn State-Wisconsin game.
You think it's going to be a huge distraction from Penn State-Wisconsin?
I think you're probably taking a couple 100,000 at least away from viewing the Penn State game just because, again, their focus – I realize they're not going head-to-head, but – you gotta save up your energy reservoir for a showdown.
There's a lot of fans
like Temple and Rutgers
who are actually not going to go to Penn State, Wisconsin, and go to the Temple Pitt game or Temple or Rutgers game.
Same difference.
We lost at least 2,000 to 3,000 travelers that way.
Well, I will tell you, Ironhead, Goon and I do know of one Penn Stater who is going to truly have divided attentions now on Saturday afternoon. My co-host Brandon Noble, his son Connor is making. It's going to be his first game as an FBS football player. Congratulations to Connor as a preferred walk-on freshman, made the travel roster.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Number 37 on the Owls, if you're flipping to the Temple game during commercial breaks,
cool.
look for him on special teams.
Tight end?
He's third string tight end right now. So very cool.
That's awesome.
Hey, real quickly, along those lines of guys scrapping to make a roster, I just want to shout out a couple of Nittany Lions, Shaka Tony, Dan Chisena, and Troy Apke. All three of those guys made their way onto a 53-man roster, largely because they're good special teams players. And Goon, that's how you hang around the league.
Absolutely. Those linebackers who can play. Like if you can play the lineage, Rob Holmberg. I mean, Scott Radisick is in my era. You get into like the Jim Nelson. Rob Holmberg, Mike Hall, Maudie, like these guys who were Danny Connor, Puzz. I mean, those guys who, they were always some of those guys were starters, but fringe guys who they can play all three linebacker positions and they can play on every special team and not hurt the team. You'll make the team every year, man.
Speaking of which, Jan Johnson made the Titans practice squad.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see kind of how he develops, how long he can hang in the league.
I remember you guys talked about him on the draft show a year ago, and we just said you just hang around, learn to play special teams, and that's somebody who can, play 3, 4, 5 years in the league.
Yeah,
just like Mike Hall, another another walk on. I'm sorry, Josh Hall. So I'm thinking.
Mike Hall too. He played for the Dolphins for years.
Well, yeah,
still on the team,
right. But Josh was a walk on, like.
And Josh had. I mean, and it's the same thing. It's just a passion and a desire. I mean, and I'm not saying you are not playing in the NFL if you're not athletic. I mean, I'm not suggesting that they're not athletic, but by star NFL terms, right, that they are not the most naturally gifted, but
sure,
guys that are, again, just all about doing everything they can, taking care of all the little things, and being smart about the way they prepare their minds and bodies to try to give themselves the best shot. And no, I saw that, and very cool stuff. By the way, I don't know how well known it is, and maybe it's been known, and I'm just new to it. But I found out at the Olympic celebration with Penn State wrestling last week, and I'm really curious to see how it turns out. But Seth Nevels is on the football team, and it was. Won't go into all of the details, but it was a process to get him on the team with the NCAA rules right now, and how the scholarships are allotted when it comes to wrestling and football and that sort of stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it was it took a while to get everything squared away to everybody's satisfaction there.
Huh.
But I am really curious because Seth is he is a gifted athlete, and I think if they are patient, they being the Penn State coaches, are patient with him in kind of learning and getting the learning curve and getting comfortable and situated with college football, because it's been a while, and it's obviously going to be an adjustment from high school football and a couple of years off to college football. But I do think if they're patient with him, there's a chance for something pretty good to happen there. Again, I don't know whether you're talking about a starter or a star, but I think Seth Nevels is a guy that can certainly help that team out when it comes to depth and be a contributing factor on Saturday afternoons. Again, I don't know necessarily right out of the gate here, but I think down the road at some point, I think if he sticks with it and they stick with him, it'll come together and click pretty well.
It'd be a hell of a story, huh?
It would be a phenomenal story. We've had some wrestlers. Obviously, Jan Johnson filled in for the for the wrestling team when they needed him. Over the years, they've had some really neat stories. It's been a while, but you go back to Bob Jones and Greg Troxel and. Way back before that. I mean, yeah, Steve Sefter obviously is probably the best known, at least in my lifetime, since the late 70s on. But you go back through the years, and there's been tremendous. Yeah, Dave Joyner probably at the very top of the list of guys.
You never got your shot.
Wrestle?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Disgusting. It was a different age.
Well, and
it was a different age because I was a hooper.
Well,
I was an athlete. I mean,
so you're saying that it was really
right. I mean, the athletic kids went and played basketball.
There was a clamoring. I just remember, Goon, your freshman year, the clamoring. Everybody was hoping they would get to see you in a singlet, and I remember it just nope, not going to happen.
Our best chance was freshman year to actually fit into a singlet. Actually, as the years have gone on and they've kept going on, yeah, those singlets are getting farther and farther away. I mean. I'd have to go with the King Kong bunny or the one strap from Andre now. I think.
Yeah, there you go.
I have to tuck some stuff in, spank up somewhere.
All right, hit me with your team captain question because I did want to address that.
Are you? I was taken aback a little bit that your supposed best player, Shehan Dotson, he's not named a captain.
Okay.
Of 6 captains out there, I know there was only one offense, well, 2 offensive running.
So that was going to be my point. First of all. You were one of the loudest voices last year complaining about too many captains.
Okay,
right?
but
so they pared down the number.
Your quarterback already has the command of the team, so he's going to be a captain.
Right, so you've got 6 guys, and if you look at the way they did it, it was 2 offense, 2 defense, 2 special teams.
I got you.
So your other
2 offense,
captain,
2 defense, special teams.
Your other captain is another returning senior. Another guy who could have gone to the NFL.
An offensive lineman, I get it.
And and it's somebody who you absolutely need to be a star of your team.
Special teams captains.
Yes. So Jonathan Sutherland and Jordan Stout.
Too many.
Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to argue with you, but look, if you're only going to have 2 offensive captains,
I got you.
The quarterback and the left tackle might be the 2 most important guys on the squad this year.
I agree. But why not have 3? Your best receiver out there should. I'm just saying, is it because he doesn't?
Well, then you got to even it out. Then you got to get another one on defense and another one on special teams. Now you got 9 captains.
We're getting rid of the special teams guys. They're done. They're kickers. They're receivers. They're kickers. No, they're done.
Well, I will say the captaincy, I mean, it's a big deal as far as it goes. I do like kind of Cale's approach, and I didn't at first. And Cale will not name captains, doesn't want captains because he wants everybody on the team to be a leader. And, when he first suggested, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I get it as far as it goes, but it's a big deal to be named a captain. But as the years have gone on, and, maybe it's just because of his teams, but I mean, how are you naming a captain on a team that has 5 national champions without, if you're going to name a captain or 2, upset. Right? Yeah. And that was, that really was Cale's point is we don't, the leaders distinguish themselves by leading. They don't need a C on their singlet or whatever. And to some degree, I think, I don't want to say it's not a big deal because it is. I mean, for the rest of your life, you'll be able to tell people that, yeah, you were the captain of the team, the whatever years it was.
Open to having a captain named?
No, I don't think he'll
the same way every year.
Yeah,
the old man would rotate.
He just Cale does not. Well, that's
Oh, you guys had like different.
I mean, I'm not going to ever say
Joe,
never to anything.
Here, we had captains named already from the spring. I think that if he needs leaders to step up, he names the captains before the year. In my opinion, this is the way you
remember the 05 season, Michael Robinson, Alan Zamitis, and then Paul Posluszny was a huge deal because he was the first underclassman captain. Yeah.
And it was
Steve Smear, right?
Joe really had he always had a feel for the team. So like my junior year in 94 and in 95, we didn't name the captains because we were so senior laden both of those years. And again, you don't want to make somebody upset, and that's the thing. You're going to take Kijana Carter, Kyle Brady, Bucky Greeley, Kijana, Bobby Ingram, and you're gonna piss 3 of them off. You're only gonna pick up 2. So
right.
You also didn't mention the quarterback there.
Well, KC, yes.
Yeah.
So we had game captains every week, which was always nice because it was I was always the Temple game captain. Marco was always against Rutgers. Jeff was always Ohio State type of thing. He always said where you're from and matched up well. And then at the end of the season, we're down at bowl practice, and Joe would take the poll from 125 guys, throw that in the trash, and say, "Here are your captains." It was well known that the old man had his ideas who the captains were going to be, and no matter who you voted for, it was going right in the dumpster. So yeah, but the old man, he was different. Like I said, Joe was unbelievable at reading teams, and if he felt that going into the summer that the team needed their captains they needed to be led, and he had to smack somebody in the back of the head a little bit or in the ass a little bit, he would name them in the spring for the season, and they would get a little momentum. Where Joe was never like beholden to one way or another. It's because somebody had asked me, and I had thought the same thing about one of your best players is not the captain.
Well, we had to get down from 32 captains last year to 6 this year, so it was just tough. You got to make some tough cuts.
The Turk was out.
Booch, your thoughts on the matchup here with Wisconsin? Are you? I'll be surprised if you're as optimistic as Goon and I seem to be. But your thoughts on this matchup, and I guess keys to the game for you, and then your prediction, your thoughts on how this one is going to play out. Saturday.
No, sure. In fact, I will tell you, I'm very bullish on Penn State this year, and I'm bullish on Penn State this weekend. And I was actually surprised, Brandon Noble as well. Now, it did not shock me that Mike the Mailman is optimistic, and it didn't shock me that Kevin Horn is pessimistic. 8 p.m. tomorrow on AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh, or 9 p.m. on NBC Sports Philadelphia Plus. Check us out Saturday morning as well, 9 o'clock on AT&T Pittsburgh. You can see exactly what we predict for the game. But look, I'll come right out and say I'm calling for a W tomorrow, and I feel pretty good about it.
Probably won't be tomorrow. Probably still going to do it Saturday.
No, we'll do it Saturday.
But it would be cool if they do it tomorrow. Nobody sees that coming.
Well, what I meant was I'm going to be calling.
I see what
tomorrow.
you're calling.
It's just going to happen tomorrow. No, so for 3 reasons. First of all, I think this game is more important to Penn State than it is to Wisconsin, because Wisconsin plays in the Big Ten West and they avoid Ohio State this year, and they have another shot to resuscitate their national reputation a few weeks from now because they're playing Notre Dame.
Yep.
So if you're Wisconsin and you eat an L here, you know you can rebuild your ranking very quickly against a highly regarded top 10 team in your non-conference. And irrespective of what happens in either one of these games, your path to the Big Ten championship game and a chance to, play potentially back into the playoffs, even as a 2-loss team, if you could somehow take out a really good Big Ten East team, it's all there in front of you. So I'm not saying this is the way those players are thinking about it, but I think Penn State surely understands that there is a lot on the line for this game. And this does seem like a team that is close, a team that's coming in with a chip on its shoulder.
Yes. Yeah.
And I do think that matters. I think
we're angry over last year.
I think historically Penn State has done well in Madison. And so the environment does not intimidate me. We've seen the Nittany Lions go out there and win several times. And look, I like this team. I like the talent on the roster. I like the upgrades that James Franklin has made to his coaching staff. We talked about it on the podcast last week. This is, I think, inarguably the best top to bottom coaching staff James has assembled here since he's been at Penn State. And when you look at them and you look at their resume and their qualifications and even the body of work from last year from the new guys, the improvement you saw from the beginning of the season to the end when they were actually able to get on the field and work with their players, this is a staff that to me, guys, looks like the kind of coaching staff you see at a program that's in playoff contention.
Well, and I think to that end, people will use it as a criticism of James Franklin that he's a CEO, but that is what he wants his role to be, right? He wants to be the guy that is the face of the organization and gets everything lined up, but he is very much about getting guys in here that he can trust to do their job. And I think part of the problem last year, and again, I don't know what all went into it, but clearly they were not on the same page offensively last year, any way, shape, or form across the board out of the gate. And again, all kinds of factors I suspect contributed to it, but there is no question that there is a much, much greater comfort level right now with players, head coach, and coaching staff in understanding and feeling comfortable and confident that we are all on the same page and we believe in what we're doing. And again, for whatever reason, and I don't think it was a reason, I think it was a variety of reasons, but it did not click last year until it was too late for anything meaningful. And I think it never really quite clicked. I mean, obviously they didn't make a move after 1 year because things were clicking. So I do think I'm with you. I think this is the greatest. I think this is the best staff, but I also think it's the greatest comfort level that James Franklin has had in his staff. And I think it is allowing him to be in the role that he wants to be in, which is kind of just overseeing everything and kind of checking in with guys and being out on the recruiting trail. Like that is where he makes his hay, James Franklin. And again, there are some that'll, that use that as a criticism, but man, that's more and more. There are a lot of top programs that's what you need. You need the guy at the top, that not necessarily to be the great X's and O's guy. You need him to be the face of the organization, say and do the right things out there, and get the the Jimmies and the Joes, as they say in there, so that the X's and O's can get executed.
Put your aces in their places, baby, and roll it out there and let them go. So I go back to what I said in the first half hour of the show. I think this may be the most important opening game in James's career. I know that people were after him in 2015 or 16 about his job and this and that, but I think that last year is obviously forgotten, but people have a short memory. If they start off this season really slow again, there are going to be some angry people. And I think that James realizes that and has really, really, really taken to this team, and he's going to have them prepared in every possible scenario for Saturday. So I have a fantastic feeling about this team in this season. I really do. I just have that. It's just, I don't know, call it my goon sense, I guess. But I just have I think that they're going to get over that hump and get into the playoff.
Can I just speak to a point that I have been hammering all week that'll speak close to your heart. And that's that. This is age-old story at Penn State.
Offensive line play.
Success of this season is going to be offensive line play. And I think on Saturday, too, because with the stable of running backs we have, if we can establish the run you guys were talking about, and I like the point you made, by the way, about utilizing the tight end. I think that's going to be really important. But if Penn State can just line up and run the ball and then free up Sean Clifford to be able to throw off play action and allow Yursich to really open things up, use the entire field, as James Franklin has been talking about, that's what I think gives Penn State the opening to get out to a double-digit lead, which is what you want to do against Wisconsin's offense.
And I think they genuinely believe that they can do that. I mean,
I think so too.
And I don't know that that's been
kills.
the case previously. But I think they have enough confidence in that offensive line, and with that stable of running backs right now, no question they have the confidence in the running backs. But I really do think that O-line is good enough now where you can just line up and let's put a hat on a hat, and we're going to open up. Again, it doesn't need to be these huge gaping holes with these backs. You get a crack there, and you're going to get 4 or 5 yards a pop, and you're going to break a big one or two somewhere along the way. And I really do think they're going to come out with that mindset and establish that early.
Did you see the stat? Shout out to Mark Wogenrich of SI.com. He dug up a great advanced analytic about Noah Cain this past week. That in 2019, obviously he didn't play last season really. 2019, he was hit at the line of scrimmage 26 times over the course of the season, and only 5 times did he gain 1 or fewer yards out of those 26. So you don't even all you need is the crack, because even if they're there, he's going to take you 3 or 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, even if you read the play and you're there waiting for him.
And I'm telling you, with this offense, I really think, and again, I was probably saying many of the same things last year, but I think this year they truly are going to take advantage of creating some opportunities for those backs, in addition to just turning and handing the ball off. I think you're going to see more pitches. I think you're obviously going to see Clifford rolling out a little bit, and again, there will be throwbacks there that will be available over the course of the game. And I think getting the running backs involved in the passing game. And again, you're going to mix it up. I think there's going to be plays where, hey, we want, we're going to try to get Jahan Dawson a big play here. Let's keep the back in, give a little extra time for Clifford. But I do think you're going to see these guys get involved in the passing game as well. And as the attention goes to the receivers early, I really do think that the running backs and the tight ends on the receiving yardage front are going to pick up some significant numbers here against Wisconsin and probably throughout the early part of the season. And I do think that's going to help open everything up. And I really do think this has a chance to be similar to 2016 in terms of, man, this offense will be able to beat you a wide variety of ways. Again, for me, it all still comes back to, Sean Clifford has to be the guy that stirs the drink the way McSorley does. And I don't mean he has to be like McSorley, but he has to be the type of decision maker that McSorley was and make the plays over the course of the game. When the opportunities are there, you can't be missing 5 yards overthrown. You've got to get the ball to the receivers. And again, give these receivers a chance to go make a play for you. McSorley did that beautifully, right? I mean, it wasn't always that McSorley was throwing the perfect ball. It was that he was giving his receivers a chance to go make great plays for him, and they did that. And I think that's, again, to me, much the same opportunity that will be there for Clifford this season.
So here it is, fellas. I'm going to cinch up everything I talked about on this show to give you some hope for Saturday. I talked about Penn State guys clawing their way onto 53-man rosters. I talked about the advantages of some of the assistant coaches James has brought to Happy Valley, and I talked about the importance of offensive line play. NFL 53-man roster member Will Fries.
Yes.
Okay? Now, look, if you watched Will Fries during most of his career at Penn State,
didn't see it.
You did not see a guy who was going to get drafted and make a 53-man roster as a rookie.
Yep.
And Phil Troutwine came in, looked at what that kid could do, moved him from tackle to guard. Yeah. By the way, bringing in a young Caden Wallace and immediately getting an upgrade at the right tackle spot. And he basically built that kid into an NFL draft pick and built him into a guy who made an NFL roster.
You're really
and
trying
so
to get on my good side, aren't you?
if he could do that on Zoom and like 6 weeks of actually working with the players, is this O-line finally going to take the jump we've been waiting for forever since he's had him for an entire offseason?
I think this is the year, bud.
Yeah,
I've been.
Will Fry's not even on the team, and he's the key to the 2021 season.
I like it. All right. Booch will give his prediction on the obligatory TV show tomorrow night, but we know the gist of it.
Yep.
You want to go ahead and give your prediction? Now we'll go through what our thoughts on the season. We'll give predictions for the season here as well. But thoughts, prediction for the game.
For this week, I got Penn State 38, I think 17, 37, 15, something like that. With Mark Brennan at 24-7. I'm telling you, I think it's going to be.
I hope it is that type of comfort level because I'm going to be having to leave this game in terms of the comfort of watching it on TV around 2:30. So I hope you're right.
5.5 point spread. We're getting 5.5 points. It just seems like a lot of points, and hope it's not a sucker bet, but I don't know. I just have a feeling, guys. I like this team. I like this. I like the matchup, and I like where. I like that where James has, and you haven't heard crap from over the we don't hear from them.
Yeah,
which is great. So there's no trouble. They're not trying to do too much here and there, and just go out and play the game ball.
You have definitely seen speedy, athletic offenses that play wide open unlock Wisconsin, and all of a sudden just start boat racing them. So you could definitely see that for sure.
Yeah, and that really is what that's to me where Penn State. I think it's just the athleticism at the skill positions for me that is where Penn State has the clear advantage. The line play again. I think Penn State is going to be able to do some very good things with the offensive line, and I think the D line will play itself into being very good. I don't know right out of the gate if they're going to be a dominant unit, but I think they're going to be good enough to get done what Penn State needs to get done, even with this tough early season schedule. I do think Penn State gets the offense going in a big way here on Saturday, and I really think they're going to set some things up beautifully. I probably spending way too much time thinking about this and trying to get inside the minds of coaches who are way more brilliant than I could ever hope to be when it comes to thinking about football. But I really think Penn State is going to come out and run the ball effectively, not just run the ball, but effectively. And I do think it's going to open up some big play opportunities in that second half, and I think they'll cash in on plenty of them. I have Penn State winning 38-24, a little closer than the Deer Goon, but we both have them. I think feeling good midway through the fourth quarter about where they're at.
I just don't want to have to absorb a loss and then everybody just go right back to the same. Oh, James can't win a big game against a ranked team, and they're going to be out. I mean, I think that James doesn't want them as much as we don't want them.
That being
real quickly,
said,
I just want to talk about what I am most excited for this game. We get to go. The obligatory crew minus Kevin Horn, because thank God he is finally able to start renewing his attendance streak. You fans can actually be in the stadium. Kevin hasn't missed a Penn State football game, home, away, or neutral site since 2008, and he's already in Madison right now. So he's not going to be with us, but Mailman Brandon and I, we are going to be in Philadelphia at City Tap House, Logan Square. Come on out if you're in the area with the Philadelphia chapter of the Alumni Association.
Beautiful.
And I am so excited, guys, to experience Penn State football around other Penn State fans.
No,
I'm excited to watch a team. I actually think I'm more excited to feel the energy in a room full of people who love Penn State and experience it with them.
Yep, that's going to be an absolute blast for you guys.
You got me all jacked up now. I'm going to start pummeling you right now. Just goon you up.
Yeah. All right. Let me go put some pads on first.
For the season, here's the other thing as far as the importance of this game. And again, you can look at it both ways. It's a huge magnitude, or actually at the end of the day insignificant. But Penn State wins this game, no question, right? it is one of the teams that's getting all kinds of national attention for the next week. I think, we keep talking about it, but that Ball State game still is a huge concern for me, because I just I think that team, the players, I don't think the fans don't have to take it seriously. Coaches will be taking it seriously. My concern is whether the players understand how good that Ball State team is, and how important that game is for them, and what it means for that program. But presuming Penn State, if Penn State does win this game Saturday, as we're expecting them to, and takes care of business against Ball State, then I think the Auburn game of the first three is still the one that is the least difficult for me to call. I just think Penn State has a lot more experience at key positions and just has more talent across the board. And then you throw in the night atmosphere at Beaver Stadium. I would never say it's impossible, but I just don't see the scenario where Auburn walks out of there with a win. And then you're talking about a team that has a lot of momentum, has the Villanova game, and I think does run the table until Ohio State, and then we'll see. The season, as it always seems,
it's just that easy,
comes down to that Ohio State game yet again. But I do think, and there's other games of concern. I mean, obviously, Indiana's very dangerous. Iowa is always a concern out there.
That's going to be a night kick out there, probably.
It will be. And but it all sets up, right? You win this Wisconsin game and take care of business against Ball State, and it sets up to be the scenario that, again, you want to be in and that you're getting familiar with as a Penn State fan, where it's if you take care of business against Ohio State, you might be playing for national title.
I completely agree. I have us going to the playoffs this year. It's either beating Ohio State or losing to Ohio State, but Ohio State losing 2 conference games. I just have that, again, I just have a really good feeling about this team, and it's either we get over that Ohio State hump or Ohio State runs over, gets 2 little hurdles. So
let me also just throw out the possibility. I wrote about this for the bloggy about all the big-time non-conference games the Big Ten plays this year. I feel like if the Big Ten as a conference performs well enough in some of these showcase out-of-conference games, potentially that helps the conference's reputation enough that in an 11-1 Penn State, depending on what's going on elsewhere in the country, still has a shot to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep. Some of these games are big in that regard.
Because presumably an 11-1 Penn State most likely will have a win over whoever wins the Big Ten West.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For
all due respect to Minnesota. But
yes, indeed. We're going to see what happens. Saturday, 12 noon. We'll be back on Tuesday here at Quaker Steak and Lube to talk about it, break it all down, and to warn you again to take Ball State seriously.
Yep.
We'll do that.
Don't sleep on Ball State.
And much more next Tuesday's edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Until then, be good, be safe, and enjoy the game.
Go State, beat the Badgers.